Live from Studio A, WTLK, The Thunder.
The Batman cast is finally starting to grow as Zoe Kravitz has been cast as Catwoman, which didn't really make the connection until the news broke, but her mother is actually married to Aquaman, so Catwoman is Aquaman's stepdaughter. Like IRL, not some sort of off-the-wall movie connections thing. They are actually related. Paul Dano is in talks to play Riddler, while Jonah Hill is apparently not in talks to play anybody anymore, because for the last few weeks, people are wondering if he was going to play Riddler or Penguin. Apparently, he's not playing anybody now. In case you missed it, last night was the series premiere of the Watchmen TV show. I've yet to watch it myself. I'll watch it after this here recording, and hopefully it turns out to be pretty good. Also, some announcements on what Marvel things will be launching with Disney Plus. There will be the first Guardians of the Galaxy. There will be Captain Marvel. There will be the first Iron Man, because of course you have to have the movie that started it all. X-Men the Animated Series, the first season of the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, Marvel's Hero Project, Avengers Black Panther's Quest, that season of Avengers Assemble. I think that was the most recent one, right? Yeah, gotta be. And I think there's maybe one or two more things to it. But yeah, whole lot of great stuff coming to Disney Plus when it launches on November 12th, and it'll only grow from there, naturally. And speaking of Disney stuff, tonight, as of recording day, the final trailer for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker will, as it traditionally does, premiere at halftime of Monday Night Football. Of course, if you're not listening to this on post day, it's already out on YouTube. So there you go. Last week on Raw was day 2 of the WWE Draft. Originally, it was supposed to be Becky versus Sasha to decide the number 1 pick, but because of an undisclosed injury, Sasha had to pull out, so they put Charlotte. So we got Becky versus Charlotte again, which, as tired as we all seem to be of it, it's still great fun. They still have wonderful chemistry and all that good stuff. So Becky defeated Charlotte to give Raw the first overall pick of the night, with the same sort of surprise roly pin that Bayley used on Charlotte. Or no, that Charlotte used on Bayley. No, Bayley used it on Charlotte. Oh my god. That's what happens when you have title changes between two people the same week. Not even the same week, 5 days apart. Anyway, let's get to it. Round 1. With the first pick of the 2019 WWE Draft Part 2, Monday Night Raw selects Seth Rollins, Universal Champion, Davenport, Iowa. Yeah, I'm not going to do that for the whole thing. I just wanted to do it for the first pick. SmackDown took Brock Lesnar. Raw took Charlotte Flair, so it looks like we're going to be 50-50 between the horsewomen. SmackDown drafted New Day. Raw drafted Andrade because they don't like splitting couples, and he and Charlotte are a couple. And of course, along with Andrade came his manager Zelina Vega, which means I wonder where Aleister Black is going to go. And then after the first round, Andrade defeated Ali in the match following. And then round 2, Raw drafts the Kabuki Warriors. SmackDown drafts Daniel Bryan. Raw drafts Rusev. SmackDown drafts Bayley, the SmackDown Women's Champion. Imagine that. Raw drafts Aleister Black, just like I said. And then there was the Raw Tag Team Championship, and the Viking Raiders defeated Ziggler Roode to become the Raw Tag Team Champions. Finally. Did a good enough build for them, though. Round 3, Raw drafts Cedric Alexander. SmackDown drafts Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura and his business associate / liberator / whatever, Sami Zayn. Raw drafts 205 Lives Humberto Carrillo, much to Aiden English's broken heart. SmackDown drafts Ali. Raw drafts Eric Rowan, so that feud between Roman and Bryan with Eric Rowan is dead and buried. Next up, Aleister Black defeated Eric Young, who I swear I thought he retired. But I guess still no. Round 4, Raw drafts Buddy Murphy. Now going to be Raw's best kept secret. SmackDown drafts Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode. Raw drafts Jinder Mahal. And then the next 2 picks were sadly the split of such a wonderful duo that we've all enjoyed since last year's Mixed Match Challenge. SmackDown drafts Carmella so she can be with her boyfriend, commentator Corey Graves. And then Raw drafts R-Truth because USA Network really wants the 24/7 championship. Afterwards, Ricochet defeated Shelton Benjamin. Braun Strowman and Tyson Fury signed their Crown Jewel contract, which that was a whole lot of rah break stuff. Round 5, Raw drafts Samoa Joe. SmackDown takes back The Miz, because The Miz was sent to Raw for the Superstar shakeup back in April, and now SmackDown has taken back their A-lister. Raw drafts 205 Lives Akira Tozawa. SmackDown drafts King Corbin. Raw drafts Shelton Benjamin. Afterwards, Buddy Murphy defeated Cedric Alexander in a sort of nice little retro classic for 205 fans, because in fact it was this month last year that Buddy Murphy defeated Cedric Alexander in Melbourne, Australia at Super Showdown to become Cruiserweight Champion until WrestleMania. And of course you would kind of be reminded of that anyway, because in that first episode of Weekly Thunder that I remastered and put out there, I mentioned Super Showdown, but I wasn't as sort of detailed as I was with this nowadays in this here age of WTLK, so you probably wouldn't have actually known that. Then again, I didn't think this would be lasting this long. Anywho, some Crown Jewel announcements. The largest tag team turmoil match to determine the World Cup for the best tag team in the world will have the OC, the Revival, Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, Lucha House Party, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, the Viking Raiders, the New Day, Heavy Machinery, and the B-Team. That is quite the match. So if you love tag team action, you might want to tune in for this. Ricochet was announced to join Team Hogan, and Bobby Lashley and Shinsuke Nakamura was announced for Team Flair in the whole Team Hogan versus Flair match. That's like pre-Survivor Series. Seth Rollins versus The Fiend is going to be Falls Count Anywhere for the Universal Championship. But wait, there will be one more stipulation added in SmackDown that's going to be very interesting. Back to the draft. Round 6, Raw takes Rey Mysterio. SmackDown takes Shorty Gable. Raw takes Titus O'Neil. SmackDown takes Elias. And as the Mr. Irrelevant, or I guess Miss Irrelevant, Raw takes Liv Morgan. So the whole SmackDown Live thing was short-lived, very short-lived. The Kabuki Warriors defeated Natalia and Lacey Evans, who had that awesome last woman standing match and been feuding since SummerSlam, roughly. And now they're teaming up. I don't know. They're on separate brands now, so continuity, it's over. And as soon as that match ended, at the beginning of Raw, Seth said he was tired of waiting for the Fiend to track him down, that he was gonna go Fiend hunting, which yeah, ask the kids from the Blair Witch Project, that doesn't really work. But somehow, at the end of the show, Seth found the Firefly Funhouse, and he beat up poor little Bray Wyatt, who was pleading and confused as to why Seth was coming after him. Seth beat the shit out of him, and he literally burned the Firefly Funhouse down. So, is he Seth Rollins? Is he Randy Rollins? Seth Orton? And I say this because this literally happened with Bray Wyatt's last persona, because Randy Orton was part of the Wyatt family, and then he betrayed Bray and burned down the Wyatt compound that had Sister Abigail's corpse or soul or whatever in it. So it just seems like a little bit of retread, but whatevs. And then the additional picks from the undrafted free agents. Raw took No Way Jose, Mojo Rawley, Zack Ryder, and Kurt Hawkins. The Iconics and Sarah Logan, which means, I don't know, there's a lot of rumor about, Liv Morgan possibly joining the Firefly Funhouse, but I don't know. I have a feeling they're just going to keep Logan and Morgan on the shelf, and then when Ruby Riott finally returns back to in-ring competition, I think they're just going to reform the Riott Squad, which isn't a bad thing at all. It's pretty good. I mean, as long as, they get a proper push and are no longer just Ronda Rousey or Becky Lynch's or whoever the Raw's top woman is at the time, being their punching bags. Actually give them good shit to do. Anyway, SmackDown took Luke Harper, so he and Rowan are split up after just being back together for a month. Cesaro, Drake Maverick, Mandy Rose, and Sonya Deville, aka Fire and Desire, and Dana Brooke. In NXT, Tommaso Ciampa returned to in-ring competition and defeated Angel Garza. The Undisputed Era jumped Velveteen Dream and beat the holy crap out of him, so Velveteen's injured again and can't be in the North American Championship. So it was decided that Keith Lee versus Dominik Dijakovic would be a number one contenders match for the North American Championship. And it ended in a disqualification when Roderick Strong attacked the both of them. And so William Regal, being fucking badass, said, "Oh, you're clever. You're cute. Well, your North American Championship match is now a triple threat." And in case you haven't seen them, Keith Lee's a big dude, and both Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic are some pretty bad dudes. So, how's that prophecy going for you, Undisputed Era? Wink. Last month, Tegan Nox returned to NXT UK, and last week she returned to regular NXT after that gruesome injury of the knees that she suffered in last year's Mae Young Classic. And she took on Tainara Conti and beat her. And so she and Dakota Kai are kind of a little tag team. Or it seems like she, Dakota Kai, and Candice LeRae would be like their own little faction, maybe? Or maybe they're just best friends taking pictures together. Maybe they won't be an official faction. I don't know. Oh, and apparently Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley are going to be going at it here soon, which is fucking incredible. And then finally, Damian Priest defeated Pete Dunne to continue his Archer of Infamy reign. Sweet. Over in AEW, 2 more matches for the tag team tournament. SCU defeated Best Friends. Yes, there's actually a tag team called Best Friends. And Lucha Brothers defeated Jurassic Express, which, I don't know. These guys look like they're from the Savage Land. Jurassic Express does, but none of them are actually dinosaurs. 0 out of 10, false advertising. Lucha Brothers won anyway. Also, Rio defeated Britt Baker to retain the AEW Women's Championship. Chris Jericho defeated Darby Allin to retain the AEW Championship. However, Darby Allin got over really, really, really well. Kenny Omega and Hangman Page defeated Jon Moxley and Pac after Pac tried to stop Mox from using the barbed wire covered. It was either the broomstick or the bat. I don't even know these days. And so Jon Moxley hit him with the dirty deeds, and then he just left, leaving Pac to get fucked up and pinned by Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. On Friday Night SmackDown was supposed to be starting with Roman versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the Intercontinental Championship, which prepare your booze now because this is Roman in a title match and people don't like that. Corbin hit Roman and with his little king mace and thus disqualified and ended the match, and then they all started beating on Roman, and then Daniel Bryan came to his rescue just a little bit closer to doing the yes chants himself again. So for the main event, Roman and Daniel Bryan tagged up and defeated Shinsuke and Corbin in the main event. Also, Roman was announced as the new captain for Team Hogan, with the rest of Team Hogan getting filled out with Ali and Shorty Gable, who is now called Shorty G. However, I am on board with Simon Miller's suggestion that we rename Baron or King Corbin Taldy Baldy. Also, a new stipulation was announced for Seth Rollins versus The Fiend, which I alluded to earlier. It is now also on top of Falls Count Anywhere. The match cannot be stopped for any reason. Now, obviously they mean if the Fiend is lying unconscious and Seth Rollins is beating him with ladders and sledgehammers and shit, and the Fiend just like sticks his whole hand in Seth Rollins' mouth. I don't know, maybe that gets stopped. I don't know. So technically, yes, they mean it like that. However, the way you phrased it makes it sound like it can't be stopped for any reason, including but not limited to falls and death. Just saying. Also, the New Day and Heavy Machinery tagged up to defeat the Revival and Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. And it was New Day pinning the Revival. So, I mean, maybe we've got that championship match coming up. And finally, there was a 6-pack match for the number 1 contender for the SmackDown Women's Championship after there was a Miz TV interviewing Bayley and Sasha Banks, where Bayley was basically like, yeah, I lost my title and no one was there for me. Life sucks and then you die. And then, so yeah, the 6-pack match, and Nikki Cross defeated Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, Carmella, Mandy Rose, and Sonya Deville. At least they're actually really keeping up brand split continuity and actually doing this with all SmackDown stars. But wait, you said, wasn't Nikki Cross drafted to Raw? Yes. However, on the special preview episode of WWE Backstage on Tuesday, a trade was announced where Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross were traded to SmackDown, and Raw would get special draft considerations or some shit. I don't know. which probably means no, we're just sending them over there and just doing special considerations purely for kayfabe fun. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, new episode of Thunder Talk came out a few days ago. Check it out. The intro is super killer. We got a whole lot more Mark. We've got all your people. We've got more Howlin' Roosters. We've got, I don't know, this was a pretty like off the rail sort of episode. It wasn't really themed like we've done of late, like with Dragon Con or with what we're about to do with Halloween. But still, it's a pretty awesome episode nonetheless. Dan and I talk about Triple Force Friday, which eventually lands into some therapeutic breakthroughs for Dan. It's awesome. Check it out. I also want to wish a happy birthday to Wheatley, our very good friend and head chief of History Comic Books podcast. Celebrated his 40th birthday this past Saturday. And yeah, apparently they had a good old time at Topgolf. And I guess he ran a 5K, which, wow, golfing and eating food and then running a 5K, what? Oh, and also part 1 of his new sort of story thread of History of Image Comics, which, if there's something you need to associate with comics of the 90s, Image Comics definitely takes the cake. With guys like Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee. Yep, those are some 90s comics for you. So anyway, thank you for tuning in once again. This has been WTLK The Thunder.